Oh, he's back.
Okay, let me know if you can hear me
Oh,
now.
hey, we can hear you now.
Hey!
I was like, man, do I have to take over for you today and then you be the audience coordinator?
Hello, everyone. Wonderful to have you all here for this Friday evening office hours. Wasn't exactly sure how this one was going to play out because Friday evening, I'm sure a lot of you have hot dates and storms that you have to chase and all sorts of other stuff since the weekend has officially arrived. But it looks like we've got a pretty good crowd to start already. So, Aaron, how's everything going in your neck of the woods?
Good. It's cold and windy outside right now, but it's actually been, and if you know where I'm at, I'm in southern Manitoba in Canada, so that's to be expected. We're mid-January. But surprisingly, for the last week or so, we've had some abnormally warm weather, actually a couple of weeks. Some days there above freezing in January, and even it was raining a couple of days. So I've never experienced that in southern Manitoba, Canada. And if you look at a map of North America and the coldest spot, at least in like not the coldest spot of all of North America, but if you look at like United States and in Canada, the southern provinces of Canada, the coldest area is like right here in Manitoba and North Dakota and so not and another interesting thing today I saw is that uh down in Florida, the Panhandle, there were places in the Panhandle of Florida today, northern Florida, that were colder than in Minnesota today. So
That is nuts.
yeah,
Wow, in January.
in
Crazy.
January, yeah, yeah,
So, are you a snow fan?
yeah. I love snow. I like chasing snow. But what I really like about snow is snow in the mountains and skiing on it, sliding on it. So
Oh, cool, man. Do you get into skateboarding or not skateboarding, snowboarding at all, or is it just skiing?
no, I'm a skier. I've tried a snowboard in the past. I don't really like the snowboard. I don't like being so restricted with my legs being stuck to both of my legs stuck to a board. I like the freedom
Okay.
of the skiing. But yeah, I'm a skier. One thing I have tried though in the past is back in the 90s when I was a teenager. Was I a teenager in the 90s? Yeah, I was a teenager in the 90s. Uh yeah, think about it for a second there. Uh yeah, I was most definitely a teenager in the 90s, but I wanted a pair of skis for Christmas and I always asked for stuff for my mom, and my mom was cheap, and she would always get me like almost what I wanted, but not quite what I wanted. Like I really wanted a Nintendo 6 or what was a Super Nintendo, I remember. I really wanted a Super Nintendo for Christmas. She got me Sega Genesis because it was on sale. So and so then, fast forward a couple of years, I really wanted a pair of skis, right? Like I wanted to ski. I had gone skiing and I had rented when I went. I really wanted my own pair of skis. And what did my mom get me? She got me these things called sled dogs, and they were just like ski boots with like a little ski or like attached to them. They were this new hot thing, but they were like $200 compared to like 600-700 to go in on a pair of skis or whatever. So
Were you able to get
anyway,
some good momentum down the hill with those?
yeah, you know what? Actually, they were fun. They were like I remember being pissed that my mom got me these things. I'm like, oh, they're stupid. People are gonna make fun of me, and nobody really did, but like people probably thought they were weird. But like, looking back, I was like, that was pretty cool that my mom got me those. Like, I was this new thing. Like, I could have, I could have set some trends and stuff. And but when you're a dumb kid, teenager, you're just kind of you don't have the confidence generally to kind of pull something off like that. But now I'm a grown man. Like, I would totally go. I wouldn't give two craps what someone thinks. I'd totally shred some slopes on those things.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think that if anybody was ever wondering whether or not you care about the opinions of others, they just need to look at your vehicle and they'll have the
Yeah,
answer.
yeah,
So,
that's fair.
absolute legend at this point. I hope it never dies and you drive that beat up old clunker for the next 25 years.
Man, I don't know if I'll make it that long, but I'm just hoping to get through this next season on it. So Well, we'll
Legendary.
see. Yeah.
Legendary. All right, folks. Well, I see that we've got quite a few people hanging out here. Not a lot of questions yet, but some fun comments that I'm going to shout some people out for here. Sanus Northeast Chaser says, "This is Storm Chaser coaching. Expecting us to have dates is crazy." Hey, you speak for yourself, man. You guys have met my girlfriend. She's the CEO of the company. She helps me run this. So technically, every time we're working together, it's like a date. And I know Aaron is spoken for. So, as well as Anna, our top goober. So, you guys, you have to speak for yourselves on that one. Maybe we'll do a training module at some point or a coaching session on how to get yourselves a date.
Oh boy. Yeah, like that'll work.
Yeah, I mean, I assume haven't been any questions because my storytelling so far has been so enthralling. So
Yeah, man, dude, bated breath. Let me tell you, I was locked in listening to that. We've
well,
got
I see
Ash.
there's
She
some.
says, "Will someone please think of the frozen Floridian iguanas?" Yeah, I hadn't thought about that, but I'm guessing anytime it gets cold like that in a place that's not used to having it happen, there's a mass die off.
Well, they don't die; they come back to life. They just fall out of the trees because
Wait,
they're
do they?
Yeah,
yeah, they're
apparently you gotta watch out because they'll just like fall out of the trees on your head or on your car.
yeah, and then once it
Wow,
warms up, once their blood warms back up and they warm up, then they pop back up and they can move around and stuff because they're cold
that's
blooded,
wild.
right? Yeah,
What? They literally just okay. All right, I never heard of such
yeah.
a thing. That's crazy. Let's see. Snow is not a thing in Nebraska this year, says Runs a Chaser. Yeah, there hasn't been a lot of snow here in Ohio either. Aaron, I know you said it's been warmer than usual up there. Have you had any major snowfall though?
Yeah, I mean, we have a snowpack for sure. We've had some Alberta clippers ripping through here, but nothing like no major storms. This pattern's been crazy slow. Like, for years it was just I felt like we're just getting hammered one storm after another, no downtime, and it's been a slow pattern, man. It's been real, real slow, no hurricanes, didn't chase any hurricanes. And then as far as like winter storms, I mean, generally winter storms don't really start kicking in until now, like mid-January and February and stuff. So we'll see how that plays out. But yeah, it's been pretty slow pattern, I guess generally when you get a slow pattern like this and it's slow, especially a long slow, that just means at some point something's gonna change and flip and
Yep.
it's
Yep.
gonna be nonstop and it's gonna be gotta pay for it one way or another. It's just like in the winter here, like if you're gonna have a day with nice warm southerlies in January, well, you're gonna pay for it on the backside because that means the storm's coming and it's gonna be cold and nasty
Yep.
winter storm coming. So yeah, we'll see. I'm sure this pattern will flip at some point.
We do have a few questions getting queued up now. First up, we have Seymour 4198. And by the way, everyone, have to do my due diligence here and let you know that if you are a Chaser Academy subscriber, your questions get bumped to the top of the queue, so you don't have to wait. I just dropped the subscription link in the chat there. So if you want to go ahead and click that, support the company, that would be awesome. I need a new pair of shoes. So looking forward to somebody taking the bait here. And Seymour 4198 says, "What is one thing you've learned in your journey that really leveled up your forecasting skills?"
One thing that really leveled up my forecasting skills. I would say it would probably be learning some of the like learning how to use the different models and knowing their tendencies, like maybe for example, like the Her is really works really well down in the Southern Plains. So stuff like that, like just kind of learning the models, like using them a lot and watch it, as trying to make a forecast and then seeing how that plays out and then adjusting myself in the future. So I would say that like learning the models and being really comfortable with them and um yeah, that would probably be my answer to that. Yeah, model biases. Yes, exactly.
Yeah, it's something every single coach talks about to varying extents. It's just you don't really have an understanding for exactly how each model is biased and which ones can be trusted in which scenarios, or at least I should say which ones can be trusted a little bit more in certain scenarios until you've actually had those experiences. So really just making predictions and then figuring out how it was you messed up and failed and then coming back and trying it all over again. So it's just a constant process of iteration and never something where you've fully arrived. You're constantly trying to learn.
Yeah, and, and even like in the winter, I just saw some storm chasers posting stuff about, lake effect snow around Lake Michigan, and they were posting, like, these HRRR, these HRRR, which, is a model I really love for, severe weather, for, seeing supercells being, forecast. But they were posting outputs from the HRRR for snow. They're like, 3 feet of lake effect snow, gonna hammer Indiana, and I'm like, "All right, guys, I don't think you're gonna get 3 feet of snow, and that's the her for 1, and 2, like, sounds a little far-fetched." Then you look at the GFS, you go run the GFS, and GFS is, like, 7 to 12 inches or something like that. Like, "Oh, okay, that sounds a little more realistic, right?" So, I mean, and that, I mean, it's probably somewhere in between there, between 3 feet and 7 to 12 inches, but it's it's probably gonna be closer to the 7 to 12 inches, and if you could get a band with lake effect, you get a band that sets up, of course, you could have pretty substantial, but yeah, I don't think I saw any 3-foot snow totals come out of that that event the other day.
By the way, Aries, one of our Chaser Academy subscribers, says taking the bait is crazy. Scam Chaser coaching. Aries, how are you going to call us out when you have a red name? You're a Chaser Academy subscriber. Come on, man. You're supposed to be drinking the Kool-Aid here with us. You're not supposed to be on the other team. I'm going to have to DM him and give him a talking to later.
I see Brownie's asking my favorite model to use for snow. My favorite model for snow is the GFS. GFS, good for snow. So
All right. Okay, so I have a question for me, which is rare. Usually they're directed towards the coaches, but I'll take it. John Slack, I think that's John Slack is the name. How come you guys switched from the website to Discord? Where can I find the Chase and Explain videos? Great question. So, first of all, we switched to Discord because back in, well, you know what? I'll give some inside baseball. You guys are probably all people who have been around the block with Storm Chaser coaching. I see a lot of returning people's names in here. So when we first started Storm Chaser coaching, the idea is we would have a digital content library that would be above and beyond what you would get on just like a regular YouTube channel. So it would be structured, we'd have quizzes, and we would also have support like being able to ask questions and interact with the community. And for those of you who were around at the beginning, you'll know that the community we started with, which was built into the software we were using, was pretty limited in its scope. There wasn't a lot of ways to interact. And so the Chaser Academy was doing great. Storm Chaser coaching was doing great, but it definitely wasn't doing as good as we thought it could be. And we felt like there was something missing. So we sent out, and some of you may remember this, we sent out surveys to all of our both current and former subscribers asking if we could get some feedback on maybe why they canceled or what they would like to see if they were current subscribers, what they would appreciate us working on in the future. And the overwhelming majority of responses were that people really wanted an opportunity to interact with all of our coaches more. They wanted to have a more dynamic community experience. Really, what we were getting was that content is nice, but community and interaction are much more rare and much more important to people. So that's what we decided to do. We decided to move the operations over to Discord. We decided to make the primary component of the Chaser Academy be these various types of live interactive experiences with on-demand replays, of course. Those are always listed in the different on-demand replay channels that you find on the channels list on the side there. But I know I'm rambling a little bit, but that's what caused us to move over here. And then your last question, where can you find those Chase and Explain videos? If you are a Chaser Academy subscriber, if you scroll down to the Chaser Academy category in your channels list, you will see a channel that says Legacy Content. We decided to take all that content and put it on YouTube over the course of 2026 to use it as marketing to get people to come into the Discord server. But we also want everybody who's a subscriber to have access to it right away. So we put it in a Google Drive link. We made it so that it can be shared with anybody who has the link, and you guys can access it right now. I made sure it's all categorized. So if you click the Chase and Explain folder, it's got episodes 1 through 8, which is how many Chase and Explain episodes we did, which Aaron, you did 2 of those. So people can go watch those right when we're done with this episode if they want to. All right. Let's see. Become a Discord mod. Okay. Anyways, that one's over with. Sorry about the long-winded explanation, but I wanted to give that its due diligence. We Met WX says, I don't have a question. More so I want to get your all's opinions. And is that a snow map? I'm not sure, Aaron. Have you even been checking the potential snowfall totals in South Carolina recently?
Yeah, I've been watching that storm,
Okay.
the Sunday, Monday storm. Yeah, it kinda looks just like a I mean, at times it looked like it was gonna be a monster kind of a really a banger storm there over land, but and now it looks kinda like the low doesn't form until maybe it's offshore, and yeah, there'll probably be some snow along the coast and stuff, but doesn't look like I'm not gonna chase it, so
Right. Next up, we have OSHA violator. That doesn't sound like a very safe name. They want to know what is wrong with light bars. Nothing inherently wrong, and you may want to actually check out the group coaching session that we did, Trey and I did earlier this week. It was about chaser safety and etiquette, and we talked a little bit about light bars, if you are going to use them, what their proper usage is. And so I won't get into that too much here because we did choose to make that group coaching session free for everyone. So if you didn't get a chance to be there live, on the left-hand side of the channels list, if you go to office hours replays, you can watch that at any time. And there's timestamp chapters as well. So if you select the chapter where it talks about light bars, you'll get the full breakdown of what we talked about. But it's more so an inside joke than anything else. We Met WX also asks, hey, Aaron, do you have any suggestions on working on photography skills when I don't have any weather to practice on?
yeah, I mean, I guess it depends what your goals are. If your goal is, you wanna improve your skills that are gonna be good for storm chasing, or is it just more of like a general photography thing? But I would say if I didn't have any storms and I wanted to work on my photography skills, there's 2 things I would do. One, I would just go shoot landscape stuff and kinda pretend like there was a storm there and kinda visualize and get good at being able to get your camera set up and positioned and taking a photograph. Albeit your lighting's gonna be different. You're gonna have probably a brighter condition or whatnot than you would have if there's a storm, but, at least just getting yourself comfortable with using your camera and getting it in place and adjust knowing where your settings are to adjust and yeah, and do stuff like that, But, and then, of course, if you wanna shoot other stuff, like, one thing I like to shoot that is kinda, it's not necessarily storms, but I like to shoot do like astrophotography, like shooting the Milky Way and stuff like that, northern lights. So, and that's kind of like storm chasing in itself as well, but a little bit different. But some of the same tools like chasing northern lights. I use some of the same tools that you chase weather to chase northern lights, like trying to see where is there going to be cloud cover and whatnot? So using visible satellite to look at the cloud cover, and you can even look at there's even models you can run that forecast the cloud cover and stuff, and I'll run those models sometimes when I know there's going to be aurora to chase. So yeah, that then doing that just any kind of photography at all is obviously going to make you a better photographer and more comfortable with your camera and knowing how to use the settings and whatnot. So
Amen to that. And We Met WX says, I love this Discord server. I never used Discord until we switched over. Now I use it every day. Love to hear that. We spent a lot of time, and shout out to Anna, top goober over here. She's the one who convinced me that Discord was the only play that we had. So without her constantly in my ear telling me we needed to move over to Discord, all this might not have happened. But we did take a lot of time and effort to really try to plan out the server so that it would be a place that was engaging, and if people wanted to spend a lot of time hanging out, there'd be a lot of cool stuff to do. If people only wanted to stop by briefly to ask a question for one of our coaches in the Coach Q&A channel or attend one of the live shows, that would be easy to find, and that would be a complete an experience in and of itself. So really appreciate hearing that feedback. We Met WX, and Similar feedback from Ash. She says Discord scared me after the last time I was on Discord regularly. I'd love to hear in the comments here a little more about what your experience was and what it was related to. But she says this has been fine. Very happy to hear that. So
Yeah, we only did the Discord because I was just super, super annoying. And that's why you gave me a promotion because I'm just that annoying and cool.
yeah, there's a lesson there. Persistence does pay off. So I can't fault you for that, Anna. So John Slack also asks, do you still plan on putting out more training modules in Chase and Explains? Another great question. So we're getting a lot of cool questions about the future of the company. So happy to answer those. So as I mentioned earlier, all that content that we had as part of the Chaser Academy previously, we're going to slowly drip out onto YouTube over the course of 2026. In fact, I wanted to start doing that at the beginning of the year for a few reasons. Technical stuff behind the scenes. We're a little delayed on that plan. It'll be starting up soon. But the plan is for the future, once we run out of that content to drip out onto YouTube, we are going to be asking our coaches to make some new content for us. And it'll be the same type of content. We won't call it a training module because it'll still be released on YouTube. So it'll be free for everybody. But, I can already tell you right off the top that I'm going to be petitioning Cameron Nixon, newest addition to Storm Chaser Coaching. If you hadn't heard the news, I'm going to be petitioning him to make the hodographs module, obviously. I know that Trey is down for creating a storm chasing or a storm identification module so you can have visuals on what all sorts of different parts of the cloud structures and stuff looks like. And we'll probably do a few more chase and explains. Those haven't been performing as well as I had hoped when we put them out on YouTube, but I know a lot of people love them, so I definitely think there will be a place for some new episodes of those in the future as well. So just keep an eye on the server here, keep an eye on our YouTube channel, and you'll make sure you don't miss anything. Jackson WX says, how do I take daytime lightning pictures? I need a tutorial. Is that something you have any experience with, Aaron?
Yeah, I've done a little bit. It's not easy, obviously, because you can't do long exposure. You just blow everything out. When I've done daytime lightning, I have some settings on my camera that allows me to do a rapid uh shutter shot. That basically take like I remember the exact number, like ten different shots in like a second, or maybe I think it's just in a second, just super fast. 10 different images in a second. So I'll just sit there and just spam that, try and wait. Sometimes when you get a good storm, you're gonna want to do it when you have a storm that storms can go through like waves of lightning where things it's kinda died down, it's not really doing anything, and then, the updraft intensifies, and you start getting, the storm gets stronger, and you'll have a barrage of lightning that starts coming out of it, and then you can kinda time it, of like, "Okay, if I just had a big bolt just dropped out of the base of that storm, well, it's probably gonna be a few seconds to a minute till enough charge builds up in the storm and another big bolt comes out of it, right? So I'll kind of pause and wait and then start spamming that shutter and stuff like that is kind of what I've done to try and capture lightning during the day.
Next up, we have Sanest Northeast Chaser asking, okay, Aaron, so I was watching your Scarth, Manitoba video, and it is exceptional in that it appears to be an isolated clean torgen, which is tornado genesis, I'm guessing. I don't know if you can answer anything or remember what everything was looking like that day, but I was curious if you remember anything unique about that day and finding those nice LP supercells that don't immediately go outflow dominant.
Yeah, so that day initially it didn't even look like that good of a day. It looked like we had a chance for some storms, and I just kind of begrudgingly chased it. I was like, well, I guess I should go get out there and chase storms in case something happens. That tornado happens, obviously significant tornado, not expecting anything as significant as that. And post-analysis, so people look back at the forecast, or not the forecast, sorry, the observations of what actually had happened, to cause that tornado. I think even Cameron Nixon has pulled that hodograph and done some analysis on it. But I think what ended up being people noticing is that there was some kind of like subtle Pacific front that had come through and hadn't. And it makes sense because in person, I remember seeing, I could see the front, I could see storms firing on it. But this subtle Pacific front came through that wasn't forecast or wasn't picked up on, and uh, kind of act like a pseudo dry line. And those storms kind of fired along that. Uh, yeah. So then to try and, looking for those low precipitation storms, like that's one area where somewhere where there's going to be enough moisture to get a storm, uh, but just maybe moisture's just in time or just barely enough moisture. Obviously, that's why you get a lot of low precipitation storms in the high plains because you just don't have enough as much moisture to work with there, right? So, and then if you got a dry line or something like that for the storm to kind of latch onto, um, yeah, I think that's kind of the recipe for finding those low precipitation storms. No, not necessarily. I've chased LP storms that aren't firing off a dry. No, actually, I'm thinking back to a storm I posted in a video of today, and it was in Stephenville, Texas. But actually, those storms were firing off a dry line as well. So yeah, I look for dry lines. I like chasing dry lines because you get those real photogenic storms generally. So I think we
Appears we
lost
lost
Gabriel.
Gabe.
Yeah.
Um, all right, so I'll send you the next question here. So the next question is, oh wait, you already answered the one from Santa's Northeast Chaser, right? The one about LP. Yeah. Hold
Yeah.
on.
Yeah.
Usually Gabe deletes these right after he's done with them. We have another question from Santa's Northeast Chaser saying, speaking of which chat, he was talking to the chat. Is waterspout chasing a valid strategy to get your first tornado?
Yeah, I mean, I would say so. That's a tornado. I'd love to see it. I've never seen a water spout. I would love to see a water spout. I've tried really hard to see water spouts too. I've chased dozens of hurricanes, and I'll before the hurricanes come, I'm always looking for water spouts on the bands of storms that are coming in ahead of the hurricane. Never seen a damn water spout. I don't know.
That
You'll see
reminds me
them.
of one time my parents were living in Florida and I was tracking a rotation over the Gulf heading towards the Tampa Bay area. I was tracking it for about a good 20 plus minutes. And I would tell my family, hey, maybe we should, move the pets or something, try to find a safe area because I think this thing's going to come on land. My dad's like, oh, no, it's fine. Everything's going to be fine. 20 minutes later, tornado warning on the TV.
Yeah,
Biggest I told you so moment in my entire life.
that's hilarious.
I got
Yeah,
another.
never seen a water spout, so.
Oh, we got someone with some photos in the chat from We Met Weather. Some dangly little water spouts. Nice.
And I will say, like, water spout, well, technically a tornado, it's a rotating column of air connected to the base of a cloud. It's not a mesocyclonic tornado, so it's gonna be you're not gonna get a violent water spout. I mean, it's probably possible to get a violent water spout, but maybe it's,
Yeah, I think
right.
you can. There's maybe some supercellular water spouts from over the ocean, but
Oh, yeah, you
not as
definitely
common.
yes, and you can definitely get those, right? But the vast majority like, I'm seeing people post pictures here, like, We Met Weather. And, that just looks like your non-mesocyclonic water spout, so kinda like a land spout on land, right? They're the
Yeah.
same thing, so but, yeah, you definitely get supercells that are offshore, and, and they're producing tornadoes that, it's a water spout, but it's a mesocyclonic tornado. It's probably could be a EF5, even potentially out there over the ocean, and then, they don't actually give them tornado warnings, they give them, uh, gale warnings, so
All right, Gabe's back.
I have no idea what happened. My Wi-Fi said it was still connected, but it just wouldn't load. It wouldn't load anything. I couldn't hear you guys anymore. But all's well that ends well. So I suppose technically it hasn't ended yet. So I should probably hold my tongue on that. But Runs a Chaser says, Aaron, question for Aaron. Do you have tips on trying to make a profit on photos and videos of storms?
Yeah, shoot amazing stuff that no one else is shooting and get it out there and, uh, I mean, that's shoot viral stuff, get a following, a social media following, and that'll help you, get your stuff amplified and
What are some underrated things that people can be looking for to shoot while they're out and about that might not necessarily be the thing that you would go out storm chasing for, but maybe carry a disproportionate opportunity when it comes to making money off of your footage?
well, I mean, media likes human impact, right? So they want to see people like stuck in a snowdrift trying to get out of the snow in a big blizzard, or they want to see the hail of people panicking and trying to get their cars out of the hail and under a gas station, stuff like that, right? Um, just or the story leading up to for hurricanes, right? Like uh, people are the preparations ahead of the hurricane and stuff like that, but yeah, I would say, that's a traditional media, but, the whole landscape is changing and traditional media is kind of a dying thing, and now it's all pretty much live coverage and it's online and, the only really I mean, Fox Weather's kinda doing a good job of transitioning over right now to that, so, but, um, but yeah, I would say stuff like that, like trying to find stories within the story, right? Okay, well, there's a severe weather day, that's a story, but what makes that story up? How are people responding to it? Stuff like that. And then obviously like actual weather, like I said, like if you can get a unique shot that no one else has got, that's just gonna amplify your ability to monetize that content.
Yeah, I think my biggest eye opener when it comes to that particular top or this particular topic was talking with some storm chasers who are from the New England area. Obviously, not a great place to chase storms. And they were telling me some of the prices that they would get if they actually captured something of like, I think one of them was talking about a tornado they got in New Hampshire, which is not something you see every year very often. And I was kind of blown away. So yeah, that tracks that you really just want to find stuff that not everybody else is getting, and it gives you an opportunity to make bank.
Yeah, right. Like, I mean, if there's gonna be 50 people shooting the same tornado, like unless you're the one that's like inside of the tornado or right on the edge of it, getting hit by debris, you probably don't wanna be that person, and yeah, so I would rather, you know, not have to do that and, be able to get unique footage, so and that means sometimes, like yeah, and that's where the forecasting ability comes in, like, most of the Wellfleet tornado this past season, like most of the storm chasers that day were chasing the Storm Prediction Center risk up in Minnesota, and they saw a tornado up there, but, that's part of the reason, like, I never even like, I hadn't considered that, but I'm like, "Okay, there's all kinds of people going there anyway, I'm definitely not going to Minnesota, so let me look at other targets," so
You know, the inverse of that is also something that I have been doing for a while, but I've never actually talked about. So I'll drop it now. People can tell me if they think I'm an idiot, but I've been essentially enjoyment maxing my severe weather viewing experience by not taking any video or any photos when I'm out somewhere where I know it's an obvious target and there's going to be a ton of footage showing up on YouTube, showing up on Twitter anyways. It's like if I want to memorialize it and look at it after the fact, someone's going to have a better video anyways because they're all better photographers, videographers, they have better equipment. So I just get out there for the love of the game, have a good time observing, be able to kind of experience it in the moment, and then not have to worry about fumbling with the camera and getting the right shot and navigating while holding a phone in one hand out the window or something like that. And it's actually been pretty cool. So just something to consider as well. If you know that 1,000 different people are going to be taking footage, then if you're not super married to the idea of it being your footage, then there'll be plenty of stuff for you to watch after the fact if you kind of want to relive the moment. And Anyways, just one strategy among many to throw out there in case anybody was, thinking of an angle like that.
Or you can
Yeah,
just turn on your dash cam and then forget about it.
Yep.
and I'll also say, like, for me, it's easier for me now to make a choice like that. I'm like, okay, Storm Prediction Center's got this moderate risk in Minnesota. Everyone's talking about it. 10 years ago, even if I had my same forecasting, let's say just take me back 10 years ago, but I still have the forecasting knowledge and experience that I have now. 10 years ago, the FOMO of all that may have caused me to, like, okay, I gotta go to Minnesota. I want to see a tornado, right? But I've seen enough tornadoes, especially like career tornadoes, that's like it doesn't do me anything to go see the same tornado that 100 other people are seeing right now. But if I can go see that tornado that just me or maybe like a dozen or less people see, like, now that, like, that does it for me, right? So it's like, so why, I don't mind missing stuff for that chance of seeing something better. Because I've seen enough of that stuff. So, like, okay, but 10 years ago or 15 years ago, it's like, well, I haven't seen enough of that stuff. I don't want to miss that. Like, I'm gonna go anyway with the herd, and we're gonna go probably get stuck in chaser convergence and probably miss the tornado anyway. But maybe I'll see the tornado, right? And now it's just like, no, I'm not doing any of that BS. I'm gonna go hang out in the high plains, and maybe I'll see something epic.
Hell yeah, man. Hell yeah. We've got Kazaki in chat said, "Wow, I legit have no questions tonight. I can't think of any." That's going to be a problem, Kazaki, because we've actually come to rely on you for at least 2 to 3 questions per session. You've been consistent, and I'm going to have to raise the price on your subscription if you don't get with the program. So figure it out, and I'd say next 20 minutes, submit at least 2 questions before the end of the show, or else we're going to have a chat. Let's see, Anna, do we have any other questions here? I'm looking through. I don't see anything on our sheet.
Everyone's just chatting with each other. I think this has
Yeah,
become a big
everybody's
old
chill
yap
tonight.
session.
It is. It's just a big yap session. Maybe we should just bring a few more people up on the stage and we can just have a powwow. That is not an
Hey, let's bring
invitation.
up
I'm
Steven. He was
just
talking
kidding.
crap about you.
And just like that, Aries, the one who was talking crap about
Hey,
the Chaser Academy, raises their hand.
let's bring
All
him
right,
up.
Aries. Right up on the stage you go, my friend. What's going on?
Yo, yo, yo. I'm sorry
Oh, wait,
for.
wait. Did you legit just come here to hang out, or do you have a question?
No, no, I just came here to hang out. Do I have
All
to ask
right.
something?
Yeah, I mean, if you could think of a question at some point, that might be helpful. But I guess how you doing tonight? I love the profile picture. Is that a cat with a
I'm
cigarette in
doing
its mouth?
good. I'm sorry I accused your organization of theft or, you know.
I think you called it a scam, to be exact.
Yeah, my bad, my bad. I love Storm Chaser coaching. It's great.
He precisely
I
called it
can't fault
scam
it.
chaser coaching.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna think of a question. I'll come back up.
Okay. You can come back up when you're ready.
Was there some
That's
drama that Storm Chaser coaching was a scam?
no. He just like threw
Oh,
that out there just being fun. No, Aries is awesome. Aries is good people. We
okay.
play. But Steven, our very own junior coach, Steven Cross, Gabe is usually an idiot with what he says. Did you know I'm your boss, dude? Come on. Oh man. All right. All right. Don't get any ideas, Anna. We met
What?
WX says she chases via cameras, hazard, traffic, whatever, and you try to catch tornadoes. I think you said earlier you had a tweet that went viral because you caught a tornado no one else saw on a traffic camera. So that's a pretty cool game to play. Let's see. Ash says my favorite meta Arnett moment is the group that I contribute content to drove past the ETT van. So shout out to Trey, the Extreme Tornado Tours group. Let's see. Here we go. John Slack has a good question. How long did you chase Aaron until you saw your first tornado? I've been chasing for about a year and a half and I have yet to see one. It's a bit discouraging.
Uh, I guess I would say, I started chasing way back and when I lived in Indiana, and we didn't really get a lot of supercells, a lot of shelf clouds and stuff. So it was a lot of years. But I wasn't really like chasing back then. Like I was just kind of driving around and looking at clouds, or getting outside and looking at clouds in my house or whatever. Uh, so actually, when I actually got real serious about chasing, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna get out and I'm gonna storm chase, see a tornado. Guess it was it was probably a couple of years or so before I actually, but I wasn't going out that much. When I started going out a lot, then it happened a lot quicker. Like, it was a couple of years of just kind of every once in a while, maybe chasing once or twice in a calendar year. Okay, I'm gonna be more serious about this. I'm gonna go out. It's peak season. All right, let's get serious. Let's go find a tornado. Maybe like a year of that, a year and a half of that, 2 year, yeah, year and a, I would say a year and a half is not a long time to go without seeing a tornado. I remember when I first started chasing, I was on storms and like, okay, I'm like, I got good position. I'm on the storm. Surely I'm gonna see a tornado. I'm like, okay, it's tornado warned. Didn't see a tornado. Like, "Oh, what the heck?" "Why where's the tornado at?" Come home, look on social media, and I was like, "That's the same damn storm I was on." Like, how did I miss that tornado, right? Like, missing tornado, like, not because I didn't really know the storms yet. Like, I didn't know where to look in the storm. I was maybe readjusting my position on the storm when the tornado actually did happen. And so it was taking time to it wasn't until actually I guess what allowed me to see my first tornado, a lot of those were like maybe like rain wrap tornadoes. It wasn't until I finally chased and there was a setup that had good visibility, like a classic supercell setup where I didn't have to worry about being rain wrapped. I could be 10 miles away or 5 miles away, be able to see the tornado and finally one, produced a tornado. I'm like, okay, there's a significant, like, that is definitely 100% a tornado right there, right? Because before that I had chased up and like, okay, maybe there's a big funnel cloud, but did it condense all the way down? I don't know, but yeah. So yeah, I mean, a year and a half, that's not a long time. Like, I would keep at it, keep learning storms and, fine and just enjoy being out there and just realize that it's a steep learning curve, man, to learn storms and see tornadoes. Like, some people see them on their first day or first time, but there's a lot of luck involved too. So, you could be the best storm chaser in the world, and there's only so much you can do. Get yourself in position to where a storm might produce a tornado and be ready for it. And then up after that, that's all out of your hands. So it's either going to produce a tornado or it's not.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard storm chasers personally, uh, that have gone months, sometimes entire seasons. I mean, these are people who have been storm chasing for many years, where they don't see a tornado the entire year. So it's definitely never a guarantee. And so if you haven't seen a tornado in your first year and a half, just know that you're in good company, because everybody starts off like that, and it's the beatings everybody has to take along the way. If it doesn't happen for you when you first start chasing, there will inevitably be a drought at some point where you don't see a lot of anything for an extended period of time.
Yeah. And it all depends on the chase season too, right? Like, some years are really, really terrible. Like you were saying, like I remember in 2018, like I knew how to chase. I had seen dozens of tornadoes at this point, but I drove 30,000 miles and it wasn't until June that I finally saw a tornado in Colorado. And it wasn't because, I may have missed a couple of tornadoes, but nobody was seeing tornadoes just because they weren't happening. So, yeah.
And would you believe this, Aaron? Right after saying, I'm the idiot, junior coach Steven accidentally brings an audience member up on stage that wasn't even supposed to be here. So didn't take long for that Uno reverse card to be played. All right, lots of questions now. You guys are doing a good job. John Slack, Academy member. How long? Oh, sorry, we already answered that one. Kazaki. Okay, Gabe, I'm going to give you a question. What tips does Aaron have for forecasting and chasing the lower risk days? And do you ever think it's worth it more than the higher risk days? And I think that has to do with you were talking about earlier, how you want to be on those tornadoes that aren't obvious that everybody else is going to be on. Does it ever look more appealing for you when you see marginal risk or a slight risk that a lot of people probably aren't going to be taking the drive to go out to, just because you know that if something does happen, let's say maybe it's a slight risk, but it's got a really high ceiling, maybe only like a 2% chance of realizing that ceiling, but it's got a really high ceiling. Does that play into your calculus when it comes to whether or not you're going to go out and chase?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Those days are, I look for those days. Now, I probably, if I've got to drive 1,500 miles in 2 days to get to a slight risk day that may or may not produce and take that gamble, probably not gonna do that. But if I'm in the field and I'm chasing, like, yeah, I'm like, I'm not gonna skip a day like that. Like, I'm gonna definitely chase those lower end days just because of those reasons. Like, yeah, most people are probably not gonna chase it, because the thing you gotta realize is that the Storm Prediction Center is not putting out a forecast for storm chasers. They're putting out a forecast of, how likely is there to be severe weather, and what's the, and that, and how likely is that impact. So all it takes is one storm and one tornado to make it worth it for a storm chaser, right? So yeah, you just gotta be able to be out there for that. But when you if you're not if you have limited time to storm chase, that's gonna be a disadvantage for that, because you're probably not gonna wanna take your time off to go chase a day that may or may not be very good, right? Like, you're probably gonna target those days like, oh, the Storm Prediction Center has a moderate risk, so which totally makes sense. Like, so that's a challenge, right? So if you're taking a chase, doing a chasecation where you have a week or two off to be able to chase, then yeah, definitely, like, those are gonna be the days that you want to target. Those days. I mean, target all the days, but don't think like, that's not worth chasing those days. It's definitely worth chasing those days. So
Aries, with the question that they couldn't seem to get off the tip of their tongue when we had them up on stage. They want to know, Aaron, is corn sweat a thing in Canada, or is that more high plains / Midwest?
yeah, we definitely get it up here in Canada, but it's more from the canola. We have a lot of canola plants up here. So the canola plants, it's just like a sea in the summer of canola and flax as well. There's some corn up as well up here, but yeah, lots of canola. And yeah, it definitely does the same thing. It produces moisture for storms to take advantage of.
Sanest Northeast Chaser. They want to know, how did you go about getting your Canadian citizenship? You don't have to
Well,
answer that one if you don't want to. I just figured I'd throw it out there.
oh no, well, I'm not a Canadian citizen. I'm a permanent resident. So
Okay.
yeah, sponsored through my wife. So
Now, question related to that. I think you've answered this before, but humor me. During the pandemic, you were stuck in Canada, right?
no, I wasn't stuck here. I was able to cross, but the problem was that if I went to the States and when I came back to Canada, I'd have to quarantine for like 2 weeks.
Oh, okay, okay,
Yeah,
gotcha.
and I couldn't leave the house or anything. And then I could leave. But then if I went back down to the States, I want to come back, there would be another 2 weeks quarantine. And I was having to do COVID tests every time I crossed the border. I had to show that didn't have COVID. So yeah, it was not a good time.
Yeah, just not really worth it to go chase a setup across the border when you have to take 2 weeks off of work afterwards.
Yeah.
Yep, totally. All right, Wyatt Marshall requested to speak, so go ahead and invite you up on the stage. Wyatt, how's it going?
I was the one that was brought up by mistake earlier by Steven. Thank you, Steven.
I personally am going to apologize for Steven. He's getting taken behind the woodshed when this show's over. So,
Oh God. Oh, Aaron, how are you doing, my man?
Hey, I'm good. How are you?
You having a good Friday night?
Yeah.
Excellent. It's probably late for you, isn't it?
It's 8 here, 8 Central.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, I've got a two-parter for you. Since you were talking about, when you were actually able to see your first tornadoes earlier, I would like to know, what was the very first visible classic supercell tornado you were able to see here in the States? And then as a follow-up to that, I've gotten, I think, more posts on my feed of yours in this past week than any other time ever. So I knew I had to stop by, and one of those was, how far, how close do you like your tornado? And so I'll ask you that: is how close do you like your tornado?
Man, that X algorithm's working for me. So I've been trying to pump that thing.
Before you answer that question, Aaron, let me say that I also have been getting hammered by some of your tweets lately. One in
And it's
particular,
working.
but it had to do with a tampon.
Yeah.
Didn't have anything to do with.
Yeah, my wife didn't like that one, but
I wonder how
Uh,
many people thought that of that tornado.
yeah, man.
I know it came to my mind, man. Golly.
yeah, like I never even thought of that. And then people started commenting that on my social media that looked like a tampon. I'm like, yeah, it does look like a tampon. And then I was like, man, it just blew up a tampon. I'm like, Jesus Christ, I guess people like tampons and tornadoes. So
There's the name for your new channel, by the way. Tampons and
yeah,
tornadoes.
yeah,
That's gonna
tampons and
get you in a
tornadoes.
lot of trouble. That's gonna get me in a lot of trouble for saying that. I'm gonna be quiet now.
Yeah. So so you said first classic supercell or supercell with tornado?
Classic supercell tornado, meaning,
Okay, yeah,
pretty
yeah, yeah.
visible.
Yeah,
Visible.
yeah,
You say
yeah.
you mentioned rain wrapped a lot, so
Yeah, so it's probably like if I think back, like probably 2012, April 14th, 2012, high risk day. And it was just like string of pearls supercells and just one after another. But they were struggling to produce and they didn't all produce. But there was one that came close to producing, and then there was one that definitely produced a nice cone tornado late at night. So I'd say that's probably the first one where I was just like, man, that's just amazing. I had seen some other weak, nothing like spectacular tornadoes before that, like in the 2000, like between like 2008 and 2010 and 11, 12, that area. But yeah, it was 2012, April 14th, 2012 in Kansas, Heston,
and
Kansas.
it was
So
nocturnal.
it was right at sunset. So I had chased them
Oh,
all day,
golly.
and it was like one storm had come real close, but didn't condense all the way down, and then finally the last storm of the day condensed all the way down. So
Is that perfect? That's tornado time.
yeah, yeah, right at sunset. So, but then we were trying to keep up with it, but like there was we got up to Heston, Kansas, and there was like a golf course or no an airport or something, and yeah, we road network went to crap, and then yeah, lost it into the dark, and yeah, yeah, that was a wild night. And that's like looking back at that night, like, that I was even to this day, it was like, that was during that day and that night. It was the wildest chase day I've had in the Great Plains, I think. I mean, okay, 2024, we had, that outbreak in Lincoln, Nebraska to into Iowa, like, that was pretty damn wild too.
That day
But
and then the 10-day stretch in late May was absolutely nuts.
yeah, but for one single day, like April 14th, 2012, and for how widespread it was from, like, Nebraska through Kansas down into Oklahoma, all the way down to Texas, just a string of pearl supercells all day, multiple rounds of supercells, and then into the night. Like that was just like that is the Great Plains unleashing fury. And and I thought like, oh man, that's insane. Like I can't wait till the next time this happens. And it hasn't happened like that ever since then. So that was, and I didn't realize back then that, I was still kind of early in my chasing uh career, but I didn't realize the significance of that day back then. Like, I mean, I knew it was a significant day, but I thought there'd be a lot more days like that. And then, but yeah, there hasn't. We had some slow years there through the 2000 teens, and nothing really like that day just stands out in my mind. Like, what, like, that's what the Great Plains can do. Like, that's Great Plains Fury right there. So, and then the other question was, remind me again, what was it? Oh,
I
the
actually, I
how
actually don't
close,
remember.
how close do you like to be to the
Yeah,
tornado?
that's it. Yep.
Uh, well, I like backup range to right above your range, right in there. So as I move back from that backup to overhead range, my um it kind of goes down in quality for how much I'm enjoying the event. So
Have you ever had any aspirations to 0 meter?
uh no, I don't really want to be in the tornado. Like, I mean, It's kind of cool. So like the closest I mean, I've been in tornadoes, like some weak ones, and then I chased with Reed Timmer one time, and he literally like drove us into the tornado, and I'm like man, you're crazy, man. Like stop. Like what are you doing? Like my son was just born like a year ago. Like, and we're we're about to drive. Yeah, stop. So uh I don't really want to be in the tornado. Yeah. I'd rather be I want to be really close, right? But yeah, I'd rather not be right in the tornado.
Yeah, I think that's fair. You know, I don't think most people would follow you on that. I feel
Yeah.
like it's become so normalized lately. The fact that I even asked you that question, it's become so normalized. Like, oh, it doesn't look that strong. We're just gonna go ahead and drive into it.
Yeah. Like even like the weak ones, I'm like, yeah, like this in principle, it's like seems kind of dumb. Like maybe I probably shouldn't do that, right? So
S- Speaking of things that seem kind of dumb, this next question from our man Stephen Cross. I'm just going to keep piling on. He wants to know what is your favorite hodograph, which that's legitimate, but then he wants to know what your least favorite hodograph is, which would just be like a like no wind, right? Like that would be anyone's least favorite hodograph. I don't even understand that question, Stephen.
yeah. Yeah, I want my photograph. I want a big arc off to the left, circle around,
Yep.
and then straight across to the east.
Do you have a favorite? Is that what your favorite is? Like, do you prefer a little veer back? Do you like it when it's a little more storm relative speed? Do you prefer them to have, like what kind of characteristics do you look for? You look at a photograph and just out of pure pattern recognition, you say to yourself, "Well, this is my favorite kind of day."
Well, I want to see those really strong easterlies uh coming out, coming out of the east, and then that and then a big looping turn out of the west, right? Like that's all I'm really want to see is that, because then that says we're gonna have big time rotating storms and probably tornadoes.
Yep.
I don't want any. I'd rather not see veer back veer, but you can still get tornadoes with the veer back veer stuff and all that. But yeah, but yeah, I want to see that surface. I want to see those east. I want to see those that wind profile coming out of the east and going west, and then as it rises, turning and preferably some speed as well. So
Oh no, the astrology chicks have figured out storm chasing. Ash says, "Storm chaser dating app question, babe. What's your type in photographs?" So they're gonna start reading your vertical wind profiles to decide whether or not you're dating material. All right, we got two people asking to come up on stage. Sanus Northeast Chaser and We Met WX. I think Sanus Northeast Chaser is back. Yeah, they're back. So go ahead and bring them up here. You are on the stage, my friend.
All right, testing. Testing.
I can hear you.
Yeah, I can hear you. Sorry, I had myself
Oh,
muted.
sorry. Oh, sorry. Are we still in question mode, or can I tell a quick story?
Well, we're going to be wrapping it up here since it is 9 o'clock Eastern. So if you want to tell a quick story, you can, but definitely try to keep it a little on the shorter side.
I'll make it quick. This was just happened as a result of everyone asking, like, if you've ever seen your first tornado. So this was back in this was May 27th, 2024. I don't know if anyone remembers that day for any reason. Everyone's probably still coming down from Greenfield. But that was a 5 tour in central Pennsylvania. There's a bunch of mini soups kind of popping up across May 27th, 2024. There was a bunch of mini soups popping up across Pennsylvania. I wasn't as meteorologically inclined, so I wasn't really monitoring surface charts or waiting to see if storms were going into like a bad area or anything like that. We were just kind of going out and watching the radar and seeing what was going to happen. And my friend, I guess, there was kind of two storms we were looking at. There was one further northeast and one further southwest. I wanted to go to the one further northeast. my friend who was driving wanted to go the one further southwest, so he took us down to Hershey. The storm had gone sub-severe and was dying, and the one further northeast produced a photogenic EF1 in the Poconos. 50 minutes. So these things happen. It's a learning curve, and we'll get there when we get there.
Oh, so that was your near miss so far.
That was my things happen.
Man, a
You will
tornado
get
in
there.
the Poconos would have been cool too. Sorry, don't mean to rub it in or anything.
No,
but,
no, it's fine. If
Definitely
you
some
want to
cool
look it up,
terrain.
there's the Mahanoy City, Pennsylvania, May 27th, 2024. It was actually pretty nice looking for a tornado over here, but yeah.
I've never seen a tornado in Pennsylvania, so.
I mean,
have you ever chased Pennsylvania, Aaron?
Winter storm.
Winter storm. Okay.
Yeah. The furthest east, let's see. Furthest east I've chased severe was probably Alabama. Well, I probably got into Georgia a little bit.
You ever been into Ohio?
I've been to Ohio many times, but I don't think I've actively chased a storm into Ohio. No, I used to live in Indiana, so
Okay.
yeah. But I've been to Ohio a lot on I-90. Going to
Yeah. Hugging Lake Erie up there.
Yeah. I've been down in the southern part too, in Cincinnati, and then further east when you go through into West Virginia.
All right, last
Or
person in
not
the
West
queue.
Virginia, sorry, Pennsylvania. Right?
Yeah.
Or do you go Pennsylvania's also right there, right? Or
Yeah,
West Virginia's
there's
also right there, right?
There's actually that really weird part of Ohio on I-70 where you go from Ohio into West Virginia.
Yeah,
then
that's what I
into
was thinking on
Pennsylvania.
I-70. There's a tunnel that you go through right there.
Yep. So like
you're
in West Virginia enough time to get a cup of coffee, and that's it.
Yeah, I thought so. That's what I was, because I've driven through there a few times. So
all right, last person is We Met WX. Going to bring you up on the stage, and she wanted to talk a little bit about what she's presenting at the National Storm Chaser, not Storm Chaser Summit. Is it the Storm Chaser Summit or was it the Pennsylvania meetup? I forget which one it was.
Yeah, y'all actually accidentally segued perfectly into it. I'll be having my first ever booth at the PA Storm Chasers Paris Storm Fest on July 11th. I'll be discussing my new AI model that I have developed with help from literally this Discord. Ash from earlier, she's helped me a ton, and of course,
cool.
Yeah. It's a model that basically changes how we warn severe weather, that instead of warning for the storm in the air, we actually warn for the survivability of the people in its path. It uses AI to basically filter data, but the AI never makes the decision. It would always go to an analyst. Y'all can see my paper in the self-promotions channel if you'd like. There's an auto link I uploaded, but yeah. I'll be there if anybody wants to come out. It sounds like Sanist was in that area, so yeah. Hopefully I'll see some of y'all there.
I went ahead and dropped the channel, self-promotion channel in the chat. And if you want to go ahead and just drop the link to it here in this chat as well as we're finishing up, that would be cool too. Normally we ask people to only post stuff in the self-promotion channel, but since we're talking about it here, I'd love to have people get a chance to take a look at it.
Yeah, give me 1 second. I'll grab it.
Perfect. Thank you for sharing with us. Appreciate it. All right. That brings the show this evening to a conclusion. Thank you all very much for hanging out. A lot of fun getting to chat with Aaron here. Always a blast. And pretty good crew for a Friday night. Wasn't sure how it would go, but definitely think we can do this again in the future, Aaron.
Yeah, it was fun. I thought Friday night would be a good night to do it.
Yep, absolutely. And I see We Met WX just dropped that in the chat. So if a new warning system that warns based on human impact as opposed to just raw warning areas sounds interesting to you, I'm sure she would appreciate any thoughts, suggestions, feedback that you might have. So give it a look. And On that note, thank you all for hanging out with us, and we'll catch you on the next one. Take care.